Hi everyone, this is Chris with Cafe Sola, and today, I don't know if you know this, but I am that guy behind the scenes, the person who remains nameless, as they say, who assembles the Table Talk Radio podcast that you hear when you get it on your favorite podcast app or whatever. Pastor Gigline and Pastor Wolfmiller record the show. I get sent the show in segments, and I insert various commercials, if you will, between the segments, and then I export it and I upload it to their website. So I thought I would show you a little bit about how I do that. If I can get this light to stop flickering, you can probably see the flicker. Could be a low battery, but we'll take a chance. Okay, so here we go. I'm doing this on Zoom, so I'm going to share my screen with you. The first thing that I do, and I won't show you exactly the secret place where I get these things from, but they upload the parts of the show. And the parts of the show, if you can see there on the screen, are labeled the show number, and maybe there's a cold open, and then there's the A, B, C, D part. And that's the 4 segments of the show. Each one roughly about 12 minutes long. And up above here, you can see the various commercials. There's 7 commercials that I rotate through on like this particular show, which was the one I've already prepared to edit this week. Starts with the YouTube ad, then Luther sermons, then the daily devotions. And 4, 5, 6, and 7 won't be used this week, but I number them that way so I can keep track of what order I'm doing them in. And what I would do for next week, if you can see here in the folder for show 497, there's no commercials in there. So what I do is I go to the previous shows folder and I copy those things, and even this Word document, because it's where I collect the data from the show, the games and the buzzwords and just the tags that I'm going to use when I post it. So I'll copy all of that, and then I'll go back and I'll go into the next folder and I'll paste it. And then the fun part happens. I have to renumber them, but I have to renumber them a certain way so that I don't get lost week to week. So this number 7 is going to become number 1. Number 1 is going to become number 2, number 2, 3, etc. So I'll name 7 0 to start with, so it jumps up to the top. Then in reverse order, I will decrease their number. Wait, no, I'm going to increase their number. Got myself caught up there. I'm going to make this one 7 now. This one was 5, but it'll be 6. This one was 4, but it'll be 5 now. 3 will be 4. 2, you guessed it, will be 3. And 1, believe it or not, is going to be 2. And then the one that I named 0 will now become the new number 1. And that's the order that I'll put them into the episode. 1, 2, and 3 are now rightly divided YouTube and Luther sermons versus YouTube sermons, Luther, and daily devotions. So that'll be next week, then the second show. And I may produce all these today. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Then what I have to do is I have to put these into Audition. So since I have to put them into Audition, I launch Audition, and I will show you that. I will share that screen with you now. And there it is. There's my Audition program. And I will import the various files from, I was last working on my Has American Christianity Failed Bible Study. I'm going to go to the media. I'm going to go to the TTR media. I'm going to go to that folder, and I'm only going to import the ones I need, which is 1, 2, and 3 here. And then the cold open and A, B, C, and D. And I'm going to open those. And then it'll take a second for Audition to build the peak files. And when it's done doing that, what I will do is I will start with the cold open. And I right-click that, go into multi-track, and make a new multi-track session. I go into Browse, and then I go back to the TTR folder. And I go to that shows folder, and I select that as the folder. And then I hit OK. And then now there's a session created with multiple tracks, as you can see. I don't really use the multiple tracks that much, but it just helps me to be able to add the other parts of the show down the line a little easier, at least the way my workflow goes. So I'll drag the cold open down, you see that, then I'll drag this first segment. And Pastor Gegline has asked that I do basically about 1 second going into something and 2 seconds at the end of it. So here, since it's just going from the cold open to the show, and as you can see, the cold open ends at about 16 and a half. So at about 17 and a half, we'll start the show. And then I'll listen to it real quick. 1001, and there's the show. Okay, so then I'll move down the timeline until I get to the end of that clip, and that's where the first commercial goes. First commercial will also follow by 1 second, and since this one ended at 12:18, this one will start pretty darn close to 12:19, and then I'll play that through.
My favorite illustration of Ball of Man. So I picked up the Wolfmuller.
And then there's the commercial. And then when we go to the next segment, I put 2 seconds there. So instead of it starting at 12:53, it'll now start just after 12:54. Play through that.
See you there.
And that way, when you guys are watching it, it's consistent. You'll say, oh, this must be the commercial because came quick, and then, okay, there's a little longer pause. We're getting back to the show. Then I go to the end. Which one are we on here? We are on B. So now it's time to insert the second commercial, the Luther Sermons promo commercial, whatever you want to call it. And that needs to be at about a second, roughly. So that one was at 24 and a half, roughly. So 24:54, this should be 24:55, just roughly. Doesn't have to be super precise. And then go to the end of that commercial, and now we go to segment C of the show. And the way Audition works, it takes it sometimes, it scrunches up the end, so you have to just scroll down a little bit. That goes pretty close to 25:03, so we want 2 seconds here after the break. So we'll go to, what do we go to? Do the math. 25:05. You're right. Just about there. Play through that. 1001, 1002. Back to the show. And the awesome bump music. Now that means we're going to the third break. So the third break will be dropped in. Isn't this exciting? Roughly ends about 37:05, a little before, so this one will start about 37:06. Play through that. Okay, that's good. It's not rocket science, but it's fun to do. And this isn't even the most fun part. I'll tell you the most fun part in just a second. That one ends at roughly 16 and a half, so we're going to bring this one in at 18 and a half after 2 seconds. And that, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, is how a TTR episode is assembled for me to then turn it into a show. I can either listen to it here, because I have to listen to each show. Well, I get to listen to each show, or I can export it and then listen to that. And that's what I'm going to do now, so I can show you how that works. I go to File, I go to Export, and I go to I made a multi-track session, so I go to multi-track mix down. I'm going to mix down the entire session, and then I'm going to choose the TTR folder that I want to store it in, which is 4906, and then I hit save, and it won't save it as that name. I can rename it here, and this one will be called TTR 496, and it goes in the 496 folder. It is saved at a bit rate, a sample rate of 22 050 because that's all that's necessary, and it allows the TTR folks to get even more onto the storage that they currently have. And I hit OK on that, and it's an MP3. I think I do a little bit more than 80. No, we do 80. That's good. And yep, that's all it. And then it's going to the right place. It's got the right name. It's got the right sample rate and all that. So we hit export. You watch the little clock thing go around. Takes it a second to just export all that because it's compressing it from the big, huge files that they send me down to the files that you'll be listening to on Podbean or iTunes or whatever, wherever you're listening to it. Sometimes it doesn't take this long, but this one is doing well. Every once in a while, there's a mistake. Not a mistake, but like there's a part of the show where maybe Pastor Wolfmiller gets dropped on the phone or the connection gets dropped or whatever, and I listen and I fix those. So I save these sessions so that if when I'm listening to the show back, I need to make a change, I can go back in, make a change, and re-export the file. And that is how we get it out of Audition. So what do I do next? Well, I don't have a window ready for this, so let me make one. This is the fun part where you just get to watch or listen to me poke around here. But what I will do is I will load up the audio file, and there it is, and I will open it. I'll open it with iTunes, and the reason I'll open it with iTunes is you can't see this at the moment, but it's that I'm going to have to listen to that show all the way through. I'm going to get to listen to it all the way through. So as you can see here, I've opened it in iTunes. It has just this as the show title right now. So what I'll do next is I will sit there and I will listen to the entire show, and I will share this screen with you if I can find it. I think I have to open it. I'll go here and see if this works. So there's the file folder. You remember I made this document file. Well, that document file contains a Word document that's a template. And now I'm going to share that with you. Where did it go? There it is. That document file is a template for how I collect information about the show. I put the show title in, which I make up based on, they don't give me a title. They used to give me a title for the show, but now I make them up. I've been making them up for a while. So it's kind of the fun part. That's what I was telling you earlier. I was going to get around to telling you something. This is the fun part. I get to listen to the show first, and then I get to come up with a name for the show based on what the topic they're talking about or something that they say during the show. And then I have to write a description about the show. There's usually no guests, but if there are, I'll put the name of the guest in there to remind me who the guest is. And here's where I list the games that they're going to play. A lot of times lately, anyway, it's been church signs, bumper stickers, 10 Commandments in the news, those kind of things. But if there's 2 or 3 games, I'll list them there. I'll list the current buzzwords here just because I log those onto the website. And then I'll list the topics they talk about, whether it's the gospel or the law or Jesus or amillennialism or whatever. And then I put those in as a tag so that they can be searched easier. And then just for my own benefit, if there's any notes of things that they say that I want to remember, I put that down there. So that's the gist of that. And then you say, well, where do you post that stuff? Well, where I post that stuff is on their website. And if I can find that amongst all these windows, there it is. This is their website where I post it. So what I'll do is I'll click new there, and it'll come up with this template, and I'll add the show title that I created. I'll upload the audio. I don't usually fill in the rest of the stuff because it's just not that crucial. And then over here on the left, or the right rather, as you can see, I will create categories. This is obviously a podcast, so I'll click podcast, and I will record the buzzwords that are in the show. You can see the one from the one I just showed you. And I will also put the tags for the show in here, whether it's gospel, law, Jesus, contemporary worship, whatever. I'll put those in there so it's searchable. And I'll put a short description of the show here, just so that pops up when you see it. And all the while I'm doing all of that, I need to make sure that when you get it on iTunes and stuff like that, that you can find it. So what I do for that is while I'm on iTunes, and I will find that window again, here it is. When I'm on the iTunes, I go and I edit the information, song information, and I put all the details in here. I put the actual show title I created. The artist will automatically be Pastor Wolf Miller and Gigline. The album is always going to be Table Talk Radio, and then I'll put the artist out in again just because it's not only the artist but the album artist. And down here I'll put the short description that I'll write, and it's always incrementing by years, and that's the fun part of that. So now you don't see anything change too much here, but you can now see under where it says the show number that it now says the artist and the album and all that kind of stuff. Isn't that exciting? So anyway, I just thought I'd walk you through that little process. Now I get to disappear for a while and listen to the show for about 48 minutes and take notes and finish the process so that you can hear the latest Table Talk Radio on your favorite podcasting app. This has been Chris with Cafe Sola. Remember to follow us, like us, subscribe to us wherever you need to, so that you're always notified when the next episode of Cafe Sola is posted. And share alike, especially during these times of confinement, lock-in, all that kind of stuff. God's blessings on your day, and remember, fear not, fear not. Just fear not. God is in control. It's all going to work out the way it should. And we will talk with you soon.